Hello and welcome to the following on podcast. I'm Jon Norman, Steve Harmison alongside me, and we're going to be looking back at 3 days of extraordinary Test cricket, which ended with a bang. Stokes breaking Beefy's record, Mark Wood taking 3 wickets in an over and 5 in the innings. Really, really entertaining finish to what's been a little bit of a downbeat Test series, but plenty to talk about. We are on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel. If you're watching us on that, greetings. If you're listening via the following on podcast feed, hello. It's myself, Jon Norman, it's Steve Harmison, and we're going to be looking back at England's 10-wicket win in the 3rd Test in Birmingham. So, Harmy, let me just read you the scorecard, the bowling scorecard. Alzarri Joseph, 3 overs, no wickets, 0 for 25. Jayden Sills, 1 over, 0 for 11. Jason Holder, 2 overs, 0 for 31. Shamar Joseph, 1 over, 0 for 9. And Craig Brathwaite, 0.2 overs, 0 for 6. Ben Stokes. Let's just talk about Ben Stokes before we talk about all the other good stuff. I started looking. I don't know about you. When did you start? I don't know if you even thought about it, but I think he was on 12 when I thought, oh, I wonder what the fastest 50 is.
Yeah.
He's set his stall out. And I tell you what, as well, after watching that obliteration, suddenly you're thinking, I tell you what, Stokes opens, that frees up a position in the middle order. Doesn't it? Which is wrong, because Crawley's done a fine job. But there will be that article written, won't it? It will be written. It will be written.
It will be written. But, I mean, while he wasn't bowling, I think our friend George Bell and 1 or 2 others was championing for Ben to bat 3. And then Pope ends up at 5 and frees, yes, 1 place up in the middle order. So Ben's class. I mean, he's got a great technique. He's got a brilliant mindset. I think he's the best situation. I've said this so many times throughout Ben's career. He's the best situation cricketer I've ever met when it comes to,
you have said that in the past, yeah, for sure.
Played in World Cup finals, dodgy pitches, batting for such a long period of time, and then going from 1st gear to 6th gear. I mean, he's a class performer. That's why he's played so many years. That's why he is the box office cricketer he is. When I seen him walk out, straight away my initial thoughts were, he's coming for a reason. I mean, he's not coming out to just get 82 off 25 overs and get close to tea and prolong and give the Hollis stand a little bit more alcohol time for a Sunday afternoon. Yeah. He's coming for a reason. And to be fair, the beauty about this team, the beauty about Ben and Brendan, they want to break records. They want to break records. Ben Stokes has come out here to break a record. The fastest 100, fastest 50. England's fastest scores. All these big records that they can tick off the list, which they have done, scoring rates, everything. The fastest 50, and you can see in his face, him and Duckett, when they punched gloves, the fastest 50 for England in Test match cricket was 4.2 overs. And there was I think it hit Ben Duckett's pad, and it just went for 1 as a leg by, I think it was. And you could see the disappointment in the 2 faces. Yes, the Test matches were won, but they're here to entertain, they're here to break records. Ben was fantastic. Both Bens were fantastic, because you go back to Trent Bridge. I mean, Ben Duckett was amazing as well. So, yes, a comfortable win, both in this Test match, in this series. Ben Stokes was due. I'm pleased he came out and not just elevated Ollie Pope up 1. I'm pleased Ben came out, because I'm not saying he needed runs. I think he needed runs for Ben Stokes. I don't think he needed runs for the team. I don't think he needed runs, to stamp his authority in the team or his position in the team. Or I just think for Ben's sake, from a huge personal point of view, I think Ben Stokes could have done with a good Test match with a bat. I think he has done. He got 50 in both innings.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it was a good test. We said at the start, Ben's due, and I'm pleased he's got this, this Test match out of the way, 2 50s. He can have his little fun in the 100, come back and then have a good crack at Sri Lanka. So I'm not only pleased for Ben, I think the decisions they've made, I'm actually quite excited now watching this Test team. I think they've got the building blocks now of starting something special. We put it in context. The West Indies, I think I'd be heartwarmed if I was a West Indies fan, thinking if we stick with this group with 1 or 2 others. I mean, can you imagine this team with Shai Hope at 3 and who was the other one I was thinking of? There was Shai Hope and somebody else in the Nah, yeah, Poran doesn't really play.
Hetmeyer,
There was somebody else. I can't remember. It'll come back to us as we go.
Myers.
But having like two players in that middle order, you go, yeah, probably would be Poran. If you had
Bravo.
Poran and then Hope at three, you'd think this wouldn't be a bad team. But West Indies have tried valiantly. They have given everything they can for their nations. But I'm excited now about England. Yes, you can throw at. We played against an average side. We did. But I think some of the cricket we played, I think some of the chances we've been given, a couple of young players, I think this is a great. I keep on getting talked about that great sort of side I played in 2005. Well, it started in Jamaica in Sabina Park. It was the first time that five-man bowling attack played together. It was Michael Vaughan's real first stamp on trying to get his team ready for Australia. I think this Test series has a similar feeling to that, where we're heading. Yes, obviously we're playing away and not home. We're still going to try and win the Ashes. I feel as though this is the 2004 moment for this cricket team to build something on. Go and blow this team away. Go and blow Sri Lanka away. You've got the win to get India back here, which will be a tougher test. We had South Africa away and we won over their first away team to win for a long, long time. I think there's some similarities in there. And the reason why I like it, because we've got a bowling attack with pace in it. And I mean, pace is completely different to anything you face, in normal walking life. And when you get it to move, like Mark Wood's just shown, it's nearly...
Mark Wood's currently speaking to Michael Atherton on Sky Sports, who's, I guess, he's been named player of the match. He pitched it up today, didn't he? And he got due reward. Does he suffer a little bit because he is bowling in the same side as Gus Ainson, who is fast, but not as fast? So essentially, Stokes wants Atkinson to target the stumps, to bowl in the channel, to maybe bowl, 6-7 over spells. And that means that changes Mark Wood's role?
Yeah, a little bit. I think Mark Wood's more comfortable bowling bouncers. I think Ben Stokes is more comfortable bowling bouncers than Gus Atkinson. I think Gus Atkinson's more of I think his natural length, when he gets everything behind it, the wrist perfect, is of a length which challenges the top of off stump, challenges the knee roll of the pad. So I wouldn't encourage that to move too much. As he gets more experience in Test cricket and better, yes, I would. He has to go down to the bouncer route if need be. Mark Wood's more comfortable doing that. He's been utilised in that role more times than anybody else. But I've said to Mark a couple of times, nobody likes face and pace. The minute the stadium announcing says from the pavilion end Mark Wood, he's on the back foot anyway, both batters, because they're going, oh my word, he's going to throw at me now. The fear factor of facing 95 mile an hour is already on the back foot. I think he's a better bowler than just bowling halfway down the pitch. And I think he's just shown that, because not only, reverse swing is one thing, and you've got to get it in the right area. And because you bowl it so quickly, the margins are even smaller. So to sort of use that skill set the way he had done this afternoon it was brilliant. Sitting watching that was absolutely fantastic. Threw a bouncer in every now and again. That's how you bowl at a tail. Get them out of the way of the stumps. If you want to stay here, this is not going to be pleasant. Facing the likes of many times in my career, facing Shoaib Akhtar, Brett Lee, whether it's swinging conventionally, reverse swinging, or not swinging at all. The minute they bowled it short, I had no interest whatsoever of standing in front of my stumps. And that's what you have to do as a bowler. Make sure you get them out of the way, and then you obviously use your skills to get the stumps. And I thought he was excellent when it wasn't reversing. I thought it was excellent when he was reversing. And he got his just rewards for persevering and sticking with it and not getting his head down. Because, look, I can't remember how he got his second wicket. We got 2 wickets at Trent Bridge, bowled his absolute heart out. He got one at court mid-on, the leading edge, and that could have just knocked his end in. And even coming to today, there's 5 wickets left in the Test match, and he's only got 1 wicket. He got 2 in the first. He's only got 1 wicket in that point. And to keep going the way he does, a heart like a lion, he was due some luck, due some reward, but it wasn't. His luck was about his skill sets, and I thought his skill sets of reverse swing was, it was virtually unplayable. I'd love to have seen a top 6 face that, because I think the end result would have been the same as what has been with the bottom six.
Gus Atkinson looks like he's getting the Player of the Series award. I think there's only 3 English bowlers that have taken more wickets than he has in his first 3 Test matches. Alec Bedser, Fred Truman being 2 of them. I mean, again, we've got to bear in mind that the quality opposition, but then again, I don't know what the quality of the opposition was when Fred Truman and Alec Bedser was bowling. So it could be exactly the same thing, but they're 2 big names in cricket, aren't they? As someone who's been through the process of representing their country, I mean, how would Gus Atkinson, the Player of the Series, now feel as opposed to Gus Atkinson, who hadn't played any Test cricket, 3 weeks ago ahead of that Lord's Test? I mean, what will be the difference in his mindset now?
I think he'd feel invincible. I mean, he'd probably feel invincible. When he went into the game at Lord's, he's probably with the mindset of, I've got 5 days to prove that I belong here, because I won't play in the second Test. I don't think anybody from Surrey, don't think anybody really from England would have been thinking Gus Atkinson is going to play in the second Test. So, and even Gus himself's probably thinking, I've got 5 days to prove that I'm ready for Test cricket. Then I'll play at Edgbaston if I have a good game. Because, like we've been said many times over the course of the last 2 weeks, his involvement in red ball cricket so far in his career has been play a game, miss a game, or the second changed, third changed, not bowling with a brand new ball. So they've drip fed him into red ball cricket. And then once he gets 12 wickets, I mean, you freewheel him, let him go. Just see how, I mean, it's amazing how much you don't get injured when you are bowling amazing and things are going great and you're just going, just give me the ball, I can bowl all day here. I mean, you can. So that's probably where he was to is where he is now. I mean, he'll want another Test match next week. He'll want Sri Lanka to come next week. And he's been fantastic. His lines have been brilliant. I think his aggression into length is, and what I mean by that is you can bowl a ball around about the sort of between the 4 and the 6 meter mark. But if you don't bowl it with any sort of pace, velocity, and don't get any risk behind it, and just put it there, I mean, it doesn't do a great deal. A bit like Mark Wood bowling the sort of reverse swing exercise. If you're bowling 78 mile an hour, that ball doesn't swing half as much as what it does if you're bowling 90 plus mile an hour, because obviously the energy you've got on the ball. So that's the thing I've been really impressed with by Gus Atkinson. His energy on the ball into length has been superb. He's challenged in and around the top of the stumps, in and around that knee roll. He's always looking to move the ball, in little one in, or obviously hold that up. So because he's challenging both sides of the bat, inside and outside edge, he's always asking questions of a batter. And what happens when you ask questions of a batter, I think in the modern day, is their techniques isn't as good, anywhere near as good as what it was sort of 15, 20 years ago, because of the modern day white ball cricket and people wanting to come hard at the ball. You've always got a chance. That's why Broad and Anderson prolonged their career, because they were so good around that 4.5, 5 meter mark. And Atkinson at 90 mile an hour is giving himself a great chance in the start of Test match cricket. So it'll be about getting him in a position to come back again against Sri Lanka. But I mean, you mentioned Alec Bedser and Fred Truman. They're not too bad names to sort of be in company with in your first three games. So, fingers crossed, comes through this Test series, strong, and he's no niggles, no injuries. He can have a little bit of time to understand what he's just achieved, and then it's about working hard to get back in a position to go again against Sri Lanka. Like I said before, I'm excited about this team now. Not because Broad and Anderson are gone. I worried when Broad and Anderson went, but it's about, the pace we've got in this side and pace we potentially have as backup. We raise the bar. You raise the bar and make it hard for somebody to come in and take your place when you're a bowler. And if you do that, then you're basically saying the bowler has to come in and keep the same standards high. And if they do that, then this team is going to go forward, because the batting's electric as well. So, we put in the context of poor opposition, but you can only beat the cliche of beating in front of you. For me, they've been, I think England they're on to something now, which, fair play, because they've been striving for it, and they've took a lot of gambles, a lot of punts at it. Bashir was a punt, Atkinson was a punt, Wood back-to-back games with Atkinson back-to-back games. That's a punt, and they've been rewarded. So good for them.
It does help when it's a 3-day test followed by a 4-day test and a 3-day test. But
yeah,
Jaden Seals is the player of the series. I mean, for West Indies, and there's no surprise there, right? I mean, look, there are some individual plus points. Cavum Hodge, 100 at Trent Bridge, a 50 here. Brathwaite scored runs in 3 of the innings. I think they've got a player in Louis, Mikhaili Louis, and they're about to go and face South Africa. They've got Bangladesh, both at home. So, and a bit of test cricket to come. So it'd be interesting to see how they go. But, Jaden Seals, who took 3 for in the first innings here. He took 4 for 97 at Trent Bridge. He took wickets at Lords as well, I think. Just having a little look back. Yeah, 2 for 90 in the first innings at Trent Bridge, and then 4 for 77 against England in that first test. He came into the game with matches under his belt for Sussex. There's no, we can't. I know you hear, oh well, it's not about the modern game isn't about playing warm-ups and all this kind of faff, but it is for bowlers. There's no mistake. Shamar Joseph came in with 14 overs in 6 months, and he broke down about 5 times. Now Zari Joseph has been all around the place, literally with his bowling spells. I mean, I don't know where he is as a bowler these days, but he's playing T20, he's playing ODIs, he's playing IPL. I mean, it's all over the place. But for a large part of today, I was actually watching the Ireland-Zimbabwe test match. It was quite interesting. It was much more interesting, actually, in terms of, competitive end to the game. Get West Indies playing Ireland for a test match. I mean, you've said it, I've said it, we've all said it. Just get them playing the test match. Sri Lanka, get them coming here and playing Ireland. Play a test match. It's just the win-win situation. Just do it. And then they'll play the first test against England, and they'll be much better for it. Be a better contest, be a longer game. The county, the chief execs will be happy. The fans will be happy. We'll be happy. Players might not be that happy because they probably prefer a 3-day game, but you get the point. Just do it.
Yeah, 100%. I've been, me and Manners have been a big advocate of using the emerging nations or the sort of lesser nations to use not as a friendlies or anything, just play proper games. Ireland could have played 4 test matches this summer. 4 test matches. They could have played 1 against the West Indies, 2 against Zimbabwe, then 1 against Sri Lanka.
You could even play it in England, by the way.
Yeah,
Ireland play cricket. They play South Africa in a series, Essex. So it's not even like you could say, oh well, the facilities or the weather or whatever. They could play here. I mean, it's just, I don't understand why it doesn't happen. Well, it must be money, or ECB don't want to do it, or whatever. But
and it's shown though, John. It's shown that they're shining light, and he has been mine. Jaden Seals has been a shining light. I said yesterday, I can't remember where I was, and I said it a few times in the sort of hospitality bits, that if I was a director of cricket in England next year and I had a pot of money and I needed an overseas, my first pick would be Jaden Seals. Because
Durham it is then. Durham.
I mean, I would have him. I would have him tomorrow. Because I know for a fact he'd bowl in at least 12 of the 14 first-class matches that I would have. He wouldn't, obviously, West Indies don't play a great deal of test cricket. He doesn't seem to go, and he doesn't seem to lose too much throughout the contest. So he runs in, gives you everything. His skill level is good. His pace is quite high. I think Sussex have got him on a multi-year deal. I'm sure Farby told us, me and Man, early in the season when we had Jaden Seals on, following on. Then we had Paul Fabris on. But there's no coincidence that a bloke's been here. He's played 5 first-class matches, and he looks as the one that's the most dangerous, the most up to speed. I'd be encouraged if I was a West Indies fan. Like I said before, if they had a Shai Hope at 3 and a Nicholas Pooran at 4 or 5. I mean, this would be a decent West Indies side. I totally agree. I think Michael Louis is that 50 is going to do them the world of good. I think you just need to get over the line. It's a lot of good starts, but you're worried that his confidence was going to go if he didn't get over that half-century mark. Their bowling attack, I think, is adequate in world cricket. Moti is a good spinner. I think Sinclair's not a bad backup. The wicketkeeper is more than good enough to play Test match cricket. So they're just probably one or two batters away in that top of the order. And if they stick with this group, which I think quite a lot of this group will play a lot of Test cricket, because they don't see too many of these go and play. And they're not franchise players. They're not biffers. They're not big hitters. Alzari Joseph, you're right. I mean, he mustn't know what day it is when it comes to what format he's playing. But he did look off the pace. And, you say that the man that sort of stood out was a bloke who's got overs under his belt going into the series. Jaden Seals was probably he was their star player. And you feel a little bit for Craig Brathwaite standing there, a little bit like Joe Root did for maybe a year and a half before he ended up finishing. When you're questioning what the game plan is, you're questioning whether our team's good enough. We've lost again. Our head was down. Body language is poor. I just think a little bit of stability, and I think but the problem with the stability in the West Indies, it never ever happens. And two, they haven't got the volume of cricket whether you can build the sort of mentality that Ben Stokes and Brendan McCullum's built. So I think it's all well and good saying we want to build this and we want to be positive, or I want to play this certain way. But if you're only meeting each other once every 4 months, I think that's quite challenging.
Okay, Harmy. Well, look, the next test for Stokes and the team is Sri Lanka at the back end of August. We're going to all go away, split up. I'm going on holiday. The football season will be back by the time the next test takes place. And, you're looking at this Sri Lankan lineup and you think, okay, I think the batting will be better than what we've seen from West Indies. The bowling, I'm not quite so sure, but back into the summer, maybe we get a really blazing hot August and an early September, and a spin will play more of a part. But that would be fascinating in itself, because of course Bashir is another player who's really grown in stature and confidence as this series has progressed. But yeah, any other takeaways before we finish up? You and Manners will be back at some point in the next 24 hours, I think, to discuss this and plenty more.
No, as a former player, as a massive supporter, I think everybody knows I'm a massive supporter of this cricket team. I do say some things which sometimes contradicts that, because whenever I have a go at them, but I'm so excited about what I've seen over the course of these 3 games. I'm not bothered about the opposition. Forget the opposition. I sit here. I think Merv Hughes tweeted about they're playing the West Indies, they're not playing Australia, talking about Gus Ainson. By the time you get to Australia,
seems like quite some time ago now, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. By the time I get to Australia, I would hope Gus Atkinson's got 60 or 70 Test match wickets. Mark Wood's got into his 100. We have Jofra Archer back. This Short Bashir's in the same boat with Gus Atkinson. We've got 1 or 2 players back fit. This has got
Ollie Stone or Josh Tong.
Absolutely. This is the start. For me, this is I feel about this
3.
Yeah, I feel this team at this moment in time is where I think Michael Vaughan's team was in the West Indies when we left there.
What, 2003-4?
2003-4, when we left there going.
To do that, because I think Marcus Buckland on talkSPORT was saying that if England win all 6, it'll be the first time since 2004 when you clean swept New Zealand. And who were the other team in 2004?
West Indies.
And then you went to South Africa and you beat them 2-1. So you need that away series, didn't you? So that means England have got to go to New Zealand and win.
That's what
they need. They won in Pakistan, didn't they? So that one is important. But I think they need to go, and they need to a really impressive display against New Zealand, who will be strong and will actually have a much better bowling attack than they did when England were last there.
And I also think, John, just to finish off, I think there's a little bit of tightening of the bazball. I think there's been a little bit of the I think that's what is the difference. There's a little bit more. I know West Indies haven't challenged, so they didn't need to see what they were like under real pressure. But I think there's been a lot more focus and driven. I think the larrikin's gone, the professionalism is back, and what they've just given for the last year and a bit, the positiveness is still there, but the ruthlessness and the drive to break records, be the best, be ruthless at knocking teams over, not bothered about, not standing there and going, well, cricket's the winner if we draw or get beat. We've got to win now. And that's, I think, the difference of what I've seen throughout this 3 test matches. And that's what I'm really excited about.
Yeah. And of course, that 3 test golf tour in New Zealand, 3 test tour in New Zealand at the end of the year will be live and exclusive on talkSPORT too. It's going to be good to be saying that every day for a month. Harmy, thanks for your time. We'll be back. You'll be back with Manners. I think you might be broadcasting or recording on Sunday or Monday. The Cricket Collective, it's not called that anymore, following on. And I'm going to be on holiday, so there's going to be some special podcasts being released throughout that time. But Harmy and Manners will be with you every Monday or Tuesday. And we'll be back in about a month's time, Harmy. It'll be the longest we've been apart.
Can't wait.
Yeah. Well, thanks for your time, mate, as ever. And thank you for watching or listening to Following On.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.